Hello viewers, Tim Paul here, editor of Gambling Insider. I'm with a familiar face, David Natroshvili, founder and CEO of SPRIBE, and we're here for the huddle, a very cool setting for this one. It's a UFC arena, so let's make this the ultimate interview. David, thanks for joining us. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
This is the first of a few-part series with us. I want to start by looking back. So SPRIBE, as we sit here today, as you've mentioned before, is a massive stand. There's a lot of GGR at the moment. But when it started, it was a little bit different. When you first came to London, you didn't necessarily see what you're seeing today. Can you look back to that first trip and your first few meetings? What was it like?
Thanks for the great question. You know, this Excel building has a very sensitive, meaning to us because, like, I remember very romantic feelings about this building because 6 years ago, we knew nothing about the industry. We didn't know what was aggregator. That's a famous story, iPad story. So we came here, we knew there was iGaming sector. We know that there was something interesting, but we knew nothing. And me and my partner, we just bought one iPad and we had this one game. Then we had just one customer in Georgia. And then we came here and I had this vision that if Georgians like to play aviator, why not others can play in other markets? So when we came, obviously nobody knew us. We had no meetings. So we came and all I could do is just walk into the stands like this and say, hey, my name is David. Have you seen this game? Open the iPad and just cold pitch like that. And I've heard a lot of things like this game is not gonna work. It's not a casino game. It's it's a BS, blah blah blah. But again, I mean, I would just sometimes we would go to the same stand 3, 4, 5 times. We were walking. We had the measurements of walks like steps. We had like 30,000 steps a day. Me and my partner, we would just walk on this building. So, but then I was fascinated by the amount of excitement in this business. Like I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is the business I want to be in. And since then I fell in love, and it will be my main industry, I think, forever, because I really love the vibe. I love people here. People you meet in iGaming are the most creative people I've met anywhere. They're smart, they're creative, they're interesting. I made a lot of good friends, obviously. Now we have more than 5,000 operators, casinos worldwide. I know all the owners, and so it's great. It's been an amazing journey. But the story started with iPad, just one iPad, an idea, and just keep going like this with no meetings, just approaching the stand. So that's very funny. So when I came, every time I come to Excel, it's like, it's good memories. So, it's very special building for me.
So you mentioned, let's call it iPad number one, and you mentioned some of the numbers today, very different. What was the biggest individual turning point, or maybe there were a couple, in that time, on that journey, that took you from iPad number one to where we sit today?
Well, as I said, like, when we came with this, with that iPad and with this Crash game, first of all, I want to say people think SPRIBE created Crash games. We never created Crash games. Crash games were there, but nobody was playing it. Everyone was ignoring it. People thought it was a failure. And then obviously when it was showing the Crash game, people thought, oh, we've seen this, it's not working. But then, we got a lot of resistance, from many companies, even from veterans, people who've been in the industry for many years. They couldn't realize the potential. They would say, this is not a casino game, it's not going to work. But then, we had one company who found one guy said, and I remember the first person it was on second day, no, not first day, second day in the afternoon, who said, wow, I think you guys have something special here. He starts playing. So I was really excited. That time I thought, wow, this guy, this could have a big potential. And that's how we started. As the first client, then, and then second, and there was also this interesting story I want to add about how we, grow the business. Because when the COVID started, for me, it was a gift from God. I would, because people were bored. They were sitting at home doing nothing. So they would rather listen to me than to other people. So I would call them everyone. Hey, this is a great game. And then we have a lot of time, almost 2 years we're sitting at home. So I used that time to make presentations because, people don't travel, they sit at home, they're bored, and they were listening to me. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's the turning point was this one person who realized it was a great game, but it was only second day of the afternoon on the show. We almost lost the hope, So
So there's plenty of positive to look back on and to look forward to. But maybe an honest, open question. Any regrets along the way? Anything that you think we could have done this differently? We could have done something a bit sooner? Anything like that?
Interesting question. I actually, we have a lot of, for example, comments like, why don't you do this? Why can't you improve this? Why? But you know what happened? Like, we grew so fast in 2 years. We have so many. I always say, listen, I cannot change anything. Like, if something works and goes, you have a demand, you cannot just start changing it, right? I mean, you're not gonna say, okay, because people have ideas. Why don't you add 3 cash out buttons? Why 2, 5? And then you do this but I always believe in simplicity of the game. When something works, why you want to change it, right? I mean, people want to have simple things. You can do many things, but by the end of the day, I think the result speaks by itself. We have 55 million players right now. We keep growing, so we're doing something special, I think, because there will be no other way. It's like when you have a global company, you operate more than 100 countries. You have 55 million players. You have 400,000 bets every minute. It's like it's obviously there is a potential.
Yeah.
So with the regrets, I don't have any regrets because I think we could have done something better. Maybe, of course, you can always do something better. But I think we've done enough for 3 years to grow to make such a huge company. And then having 5,000 customers. I mean, it's amazing, I think.
A final question for you. If there was someone in a similar position looking to change the industry, what advice would you give? And you mentioned that you didn't create crash games, just like Amazon didn't create retail, just like Apple didn't create phones. Is maybe doing things right better than doing them first?
Yeah, I agree, because I agree with for example, Apple. Remember the BlackBerry? Everyone had the BlackBerry in the US. Where is the BlackBerry now? But I think there's some much more potential in iGaming. I mean, it's not easy because, for example, now everyone copies Aviator. But if you copy Aviator, you call it Aviator, it's not gonna work because you need to create something new, something interesting. I'm sure there is a potential, but what I would tell to newcomers that you need to try to think differently. Because if you create something interesting, because why Aviator? Aviator was a crash game, but it was a completely different user experience. That was made it crazy because when other crash games would not, you would not immerse yourself in the entertainment. That's why we're Vibrant Entertainment, because we create entertainment that you cannot get anywhere else. So I always say we should not forget that iGaming is not for winning money. It's a very false idea that people play to win money. No, people play for entertainment. It's the same like people don't go to bars to get drunk. They go for fun. So if you create something that entertains people, it makes it, and it's unique, it will work. And of course, you have to be hungry. I mean, you have to be you have to be active and hungry and grinding. Like me, like I was walking to the stands. I mean, you get a lot of rejection, but you keep going.
Well, David, wonderful looking back with you. I'll see you again very soon. We'll talk about the present and the future. But for now, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.